Hi everyone, my name is Bethan. I'm one of the psychological wellbeing practitioners in the Wellbeing service, and we're going to be doing a bit of a mini series, some short videos to look at some common barriers to exercise as part of our physical wellbeing campaign. And we're going to be looking at some of these barriers, how we might be able to overcome them. If you ever want any more information about this, or you feel like you want to explore this more from a personal point of view, please do have a little think about coming along to our next Barriers to Exercise workshop, where we can explore this in a much more interactive way. But the first barrier that we're going to address today is a really common barrier that a lot of people experience, and it's time. I don't have the time to exercise, right? We are all very busy people, right? We're probably working, we've probably got responsibilities outside of work that we're dealing with. We know that our staff across the health board are extremely busy, and that time is a huge barrier in terms of physical well-being and physical activity. Now, when it comes to exercise, the NHS recommends that people try and aim for 150 minutes of exercise a week. Some of that should also be strength training if we can do that. And 150 minutes sounds like a lot of time. You know, for a lot of people, that's impossible. Fitting in 150 minutes feels like a huge task that they're never going to be able to achieve. Some people break that down. So they prefer to think of it as 5 30-minute sessions a week. But still, 5 30-minute sessions a week is a lot of time to find for a lot of people. The good news is that, firstly, anything is better than nothing. So when it comes to exercise, it's not the case that if you don't get that 150 minutes, there's no benefit at all. Any exercise is better than none. So if you're sat there thinking, I will never be able to get that 150 minutes, the good news is whatever you can do will still have a benefit. But there might be some ways that we can change how we view exercise in order to be able to fit in a little bit more in our week. So firstly, what we can do is break it down into smaller chunks, right? That 150 minutes, again, doesn't have to be all in one go. The 5 30-minute sessions don't have to be all in one go. So if 5 days a week you did 3 10-minute walks around the block, that would be your 30 minutes 5 days a week. That would be your 150 minutes. So you can break your exercise down into smaller chunks. Things like, parking further away from a building and walking in a bit more. Getting off the bus a stop earlier, walking in a little bit more. Those things don't necessarily take half an hour, but if we do those quite regularly, they will be building up. And you can often be surprised at how much exercise you can get by just making those kind of small changes and breaking it down into smaller chunks. It might be that you combine it with something else that you're already doing. So for example, say that you really enjoy to watch TV during the evening. It's your way of switching off and unwinding. You could watch TV while doing a short workout in your house. Maybe grabbing some tins of beans and lifting them up and doing some strength exercise while you're watching the TV. So you're still getting that chance to watch TV, but you're also fitting in some activity and some movement there. It might be that you make it a group activity. So for a lot of people, what they find difficult is their responsibilities in terms of their family. So, fits in an exercise when they've got children to look after or people to care for. So maybe it's something that you can make a group activity. Maybe it's part of looking after your children, playing with them is a way of you getting that physical activity or that exercise. If you're somebody that likes to meet up with friends a lot, rather than going for a meal or going for a coffee, maybe you go for a walk with your friends. So you're getting that activity, that physical activity through an activity that you're already doing. Maybe as well, it's worth having a little look at your day and your week in a very honest way. An exercise that some people quite like to do is take an average week, and for that week they write down every single day, every single activity they did, to the minute in terms of how long they spent doing it. Now I know that might sound like quite an arduous, quite a tedious task. In some ways it is. But what a lot of people find at the end of that week is that actually there were quite a lot of gaps in their time where they maybe could have made a decision to exercise. Now, that's not to say that we want to take away all the free time that we have and replace it with exercise, because it's important that we rest, it's important that we relax. But that activity might help just to show where there might be some gaps in the week where we can do some movement, get the body moving and get some physical activity. Again, if you want to explore any barriers to exercise that you're experiencing in a more kind of interactive way, please consider coming along to our next Barriers to Exercise workshop. Thanks very much, everyone.